welcome to Breakfast with Bob from Challenge Roth. My name is Bob Babb. We're brought to you by Master Spas, SFuels Go Longer, HOKA Let's Fly, Form Smart Swim Goggles, Zoot Sports, Original Triathlon Brand, Premium Plus Sports, and of course our Challenge Athletes Foundation. Rainer, our accordion player. Thank you, buddy. I love Rainer. Is he the best? Is that the best?
That's the best intro I've seen so far.
See? Yeah. Our next guest, Daniel Baekkegard, one of our favorite guys on the planet. He started as an elite swimmer, has become one of the best triathletes on the planet, and then he's making his debut here at Challenge Roth. You excited?
Yeah, I'm so thrilled to be here.
It's such a cool thing, huh?
Yeah, it's like just driving here. It's like everything you've dreamt of times 10. Like
yes.
People are so eager to get this thing going, and I can't wait for Sunday.
It's so your start this year: 7th at European Open, 5th at 70.3 in Lanzarote, 3rd at Clash Miami. Good opening of the season. But one of the races that impressed me the most was last year at Ironman Israel, where you when I go through these splits, you go 49.05, 409.33, 237.39, 743.39. That's a win. 99.9% of the time, that is a freaking win. You get second. Patrick Lange runs at 230.
Bastard.
Right. That's unbelievable. Now,
No.
How big a lead did you have on him at some point?
I think actually it's a race that typically gets forgotten, kind of, because it's so late in the season.
Yes.
But you know, I found myself in the main pack with Patrick at kilometer 30.
Yes.
On the bike, and I thought like, okay, I'm not gonna get off the bike with him. I have to get some kind of lead. I knew I was running well, so I thought like I'll attack now, and I got I think 5 minutes.
Yes.
Running out of T2, and I did the math in my brain, and I was like, okay, my plan was to go like 3:45, which would make 2:37.
Yeah. So basically exactly what you did.
Exactly. And then that guy, he goes 2:30. So on a course like that, I think,
because that's a hard course.
I don't think Patrick really got the credit he actually deserves for that race, because it was up and down all day. It was the weather was terrible, and like the conditions were not that great, to be honest.
Especially to go that fast.
Exactly, and then like for him to kind of, you know, obviously I got the message that I was 5 minutes in front of him.
Yes.
But obviously he also got the message that he was behind. And I think the mental strength it took to kind of just go out there and run his chance, that was pretty amazing.
Pretty impressive.
So yeah, I learned a lot from that race, good and bad. And definitely one for the books. That's for sure.
I think one of the first times we chatted was leading into 2019. You ended up Kona. You got 15th. Was that 19? Yeah. And then you had aero bar issues. That was your first Kona.
Yeah.
First Kona, aero bar issues, and I mean you're tied. You're 2:49 marathon. Anytime somebody's going 2:49 the first time out at that marathon, I always look at them as their future potential winner of that race, right? Now, back then, 2:49 was considered like almost like before plated shoes, right? That was before that. But that race, coming away from that, did you come away feeling like, okay, I know I had, with the aero bar issue, I couldn't ride the bike the way I wanted to ride it, and I still finished 15th in the best field there is in Kona.
Yeah, it was actually mixed of emotions, I think, because obviously, you know, people told me that 2:49 was a great split, but I also looked at it as a whole, and there was just a lot of things I felt like, first of all, we had one guy who was like above anything else on the planet. And, you know, I kind of got the impression, or at least people told me, that I would be able to become a world champion.
Yes.
You know, only being my second Ironman and so on. But at the same time, I kind of got the, you know, we still have Jan Frodeno, who is like, what did he win by 8 minutes? Or 9 minutes?
Yeah, he won by
so.
a bunch. Yes.
So, I still didn't really believe it because I thought like, but it's not that special to run 2:48.
Yeah.
Or 2:49. And then you see of course, as you say, the carbon shoes and
yes.
just the depth of the field is just a whole other story now.
Right.
I looked at it the other day. Pete Jacobs, he just did a race and came 5th.
Yes.
Pretty impressive. But he became world champion by running 2:48.
Yep. And he'd run a couple of 2:41s when he didn't win.
Yeah, exactly.
And he won with a 2:48 in 2012. Yeah.
But that's also where you see like the technology, the training, the depth
right.
of the field, the talent coming up. Everything is just changed.
It's changed a lot.
It's a whole other sport. So I was quite aware of that when people told me that
yes.
I had potential. Yes, maybe I have potential, but there's like a bunch of guys next to me who have the same potential. So it's not, it can't really be a sleeping pillow.
Well, potential is great, but again, it comes down to race day and beating the other guy. But the other thing that's different for 2019 is just this and this. Red Bull, all the sponsors, right?
Yeah.
So that when you perform well and you have a personality and you do everything that a sponsor wants, all of a sudden you become, other people are believing that you are going to be a world champion. And that's always nice to see.
Yeah, it's it's kind of surreal.
Yes.
Often when you get carried away, and I've just been on a training camp in St. Moritz,
yes.
and obviously you have good days and you also have bad days.
Of course.
And in particular, I had one day where you're sitting alone on the top of a mountain, and you don't have a lot of people to talk to and stuff like that.
You're wondering why you're doing this?
Yeah, basically, because I just had 2 days that was completely awful as
yes.
training wise, and then you have to kind of remember yourself that first of all how far you come, but also who's with you on the journey. That
yes.
you can sit there at the dinner table and think like you're a piece of
you're a piece of crap.
Yeah, but actually people do believe in you, and you're not a piece of crap.
No.
I think it's good and bad, because I also think that that's the kind of thought that goes into becoming very good, because you have to be somewhat hard on yourself.
Right.
But at the same time, you also have to just take a step back and enjoy it. That's
really, you have to savor it.
Yeah.
And understand that when you have those great races like you've had, that you never know. Like we were just talking to Joe Skipper, and he was talking about Ironman UK, and he says, I wish I could have that feeling that I had on the run there every time I race. I felt effortless.
Yeah.
And those days are rare.
Very
but when
rare.
they come, you want to savor them.
You have to embrace it.
You have to embrace them, right?
True.
That's very cool. So what are the goals for this year?
Obviously, I have, we only have 20 minutes to talk about it.
Yeah.
But, as an athlete, I have obviously some goals. I have some goals like as a person as
yes.
well. It's some of it blends together. You could say of course I have a goal of every time I toe a start line, I want to win, and I want to put myself in a situation where I can win. But as Lionel said in one of his famous videos, in the end of the day, there's only one guy who's going to win, and your whole life cannot depend on that.
No.
So I think what I really want to learn this season is, even though the situation might not be perfect or whatever, put yourself in the best possible situation at race day.
Right.
Because you never know, basically.
You never know when you're going to have another great race. You never know what's going to happen on race day. You have to enjoy every moment.
Exactly. And obviously I would I would kill to win this race. And also, I've racing PTO Ibiza, I was after the race, I had kind of a bad feeling about it because there was so many things I did wrong. But the biggest feeling was I gotta win one of these, because that's it's so cool to have a sport now where we meet each other
Often.
basically 7 times a year.
Yes.
It's the best in the world who's competing head to head, and that's the kind of racing we need as a sport to grow, and also as athletes to actually grow in the middle distance. So the PTO races, I would really like to be on top of the podium on that one.
Well, you know, the interesting thing about the PTO races is obviously you've got iron distance folks, you got people coming up from ITU, you've got iron, 70.3. It's sort of this nice mix of athletes. And the cool thing is that as someone with your skill set, you can be making a living with PTO races, that distance, which is a little shorter than 70.3, and at the full. Yeah. So there's a lot of variety. I mean, you could race every weekend if you wanted to, and that probably is hard not to.
Yeah, true, but it's also difficult because now I'm sitting here in June and I've only raced 3 races this year.
Right.
Because after the first 2 races, I was not fit at all. I just wanted to get my teeth kicked in, and I got that happened. So then you think like, okay, I have to like go back and train a lot, and then you end up actually only racing like 7-8 times a year. Yeah. But those races are also high profile races.
Yes.
So it's difficult to kind of it is actually difficult to kind of plan your season the perfect way. But at the same time, it's like, we need this because I want to show how great of a sport I think it is.
Yes.
to the people out there, and we do that mostly out of the races we do.
Well, and it's having, Joe Skipper and Magnus Dietleff and Ben Canute, having all those guys in the starting line. The sport doesn't grow if there's one guy way off the front and nobody's a factor. No. It grows when there's racing, real racing.
And that's the cool thing about Roth. I feel like this is not about money. This is not about like factors coming from the outside.
Right.
This is only about the love of triathlon and racing.
Exactly.
And I think that's it's such a special vibe here. Like we were just at the press conference earlier, and like basically every guy at the press conference could win the race, and there's a bunch who were not there who can win the race.
Absolutely.
And play factors. So, it's not often we have that. No, we've been used to, as I said, Jan Frodeno winning with 9 minutes, like a clear favorite coming in. Obviously, we have Magnus who won last year, but
you also got Patrick who won. You got Sebastian who's won. You've got you who hasn't won but could win. I mean, and Ben. And there's so many guys who we would not be surprised if they won this race or were on the podium.
And I think that will make fireworks like
way better.
The racing will be so cool this weekend.
Very tactical.
Very tactical.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you just have to go.
Nobody's going to be sitting there.
Full send.
It's going to be all full gun, full gas. This stadium, you're watching it being built while we're sitting here.
Yeah.
This was a grass field a week ago, and they built a stadium for 5,000 people.
That's insane.
And we've seen sprint finishes inside this stadium, right?
Yeah, we just chatted about you have to join the sprint finish.
Yeah, that's right. No, we saw Chris McCormick and Lothar Leder basically coming into the stadium together.
Yeah,
and
you couldn't imagine it if you watched it.
But that's what could happen here on Sunday.
True.
And that will help take the sport to another level.
It will, 100%.
Right? And you've been here really right when the PTO came in, right when real money came into the sport for the first time in a long time. At the same time, you've got we ended up with the Clash events and Super League and obviously the ITU races. So there's so much variety out there for somebody coming in as a young professional athlete. It's probably one of the best times the sport has ever had for somebody coming in as a professional athlete.
Yeah, you never know what happens in 5 years, and I think it will only grow from here.
Right.
But it's kind of overwhelming, to be honest.
Yes.
What we are able to do as athletes and all the possibilities we have.
Yes.
Racing also, one thing is that there's a lot of money coming into the sport, but I also feel like the athletes who are here now also embraces it in another way than most of the athletes beforehand have done it.
Right.
I've seen it, started a YouTube channel, and just some of the old guard from Denmark was like lifting their eyebrows.
Oh, that you're doing a YouTube channel?
Yeah, and why are he doing that? And you know, so on. And
but that's how you get the next generation in.
That's what I mean. Like
Yes.
I don't care about the money from, you know,
The
social media and YouTube and all that. My biggest wish is that I could just inspire one kid or whatever to experience the same thing as I experience.
Well, or somebody who's older and thought, well, I'm not an athlete. And then they find out that I can lose 20 pounds. I can come out there and change my impression of me.
And see the fact that if you go for a Sunday ride, it's just a way of being social with your friends, just on the bike.
So we talk a lot about Christian and Gustav in terms of the Norwegians, but the Danish, you guys are deep. You and Magnus, and I was just
that's just the beginning.
I know. No. There's we were just down doing the show from Xterra Oak Mountain, and there was a couple of the guys there who train with you guys.
Yep.
And is there a training program? Is it a national training program, or is it something you guys are just sort of doing on your own?
There is kind of a national, or there was a national training program, but that actually did not succeed at all.
Okay.
Because it was only focused on the Olympics.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And obviously we only had one guy who were actually good enough to be at the Olympics and do well. So I think most of us actually just were told to do 70.3, and that's where it all started. Just a big generation of younger athletes who wanted to take it to the
next level,
to the next level, and inspiring each other to also do well, and how to like also feeding off each other in terms of making a professional living out of triathlon.
Yes.
Because I feel like you also have to you need those guys who can actually teach you how to take it to the next level.
Right.
And I think that's where we've been very like solid in Denmark about, you know, knowledge and basically just how to make it as a professional.
Well, yeah.
And for many years we actually the best athletes were the athletes who were not supported by the federation. Hopefully that will, like, it is about to change a little bit. We have some talent coming in, but it is kind of weird sometimes. You know. You have to make it on your own, and then you kind of like experience what it actually means to you.
What's fascinating is in a lot of countries, sometimes when there's sort of an up and coming country in terms of 70.3 or full, and there's one guy or two guys, they're not really looking to help that next guy from their country because that's taking money out of their pocket. But I just feel there's a camaraderie among you guys that on race day, who's ever going to win is going to win. We're all gonna push each other, and by potentially sometimes training together, you know, iron sharpens iron. You make each other better. At the end of the day, Denmark right now is a major power in when we talk about long distance triathlon, and for yourself and for the other guys, Mickey and Magnus, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it is 100%. And I think the key there is just not to look at it as we take away money or fame or whatever from each other. We are just feeding, like we are making room for the next generation as well.
Exactly.
This is way bigger than ourselves, and
always,
you know, it's basically, I think it's just the love for the sport. That's what drives it.
Love it. What would it mean to you to come into the stadium with the balloon kids running with you and winning Challenge Roth?
Everything. It would be a dream come true. I think, you know, it's a bucket list race. You're not really a triathlete if you haven't raced the Roth.
Yes.
Yeah, it would mean everything. I would
it.
be so stoked. But just to have a great performance here would be what I'm aiming for.
Love it. Daniel, thank you as always for being so generous with your time.
Thank you, Bob.
Daniel Baekkegard has been our guest. Everybody again, we are at Challenge Roth. My name is Bob Babbitt. Hold on. We will be right back.